Welcome to Unlocked and Equipped. I'm Aficionado, your host, and today we're looking at the American T34 Premium Tier 8 Heavy Tank. Tank packs a lot of punch, and it can be purchased from the premium shop for $70 Canadian or 12,000 gold. Because the conversion rate is so bad, American, it probably works out to $40 or $50. So I got this tank when it was a tier 9 heavy. This might be before your time, but at one time you had to buy this tank on your way to tier 10. So I got it for free, basically, and it was redesignated to tier 8. The stats were switched up a bit differently, and they put a price tag on it, so now it's a premium tank. But let's get right to the stats. So it boasts a tier 9 gun at 120mm is a large cannon for tier 8, and it has an average damage of 400, but you can get up almost to some pretty big numbers. You can get up to some pretty big numbers with this thing. 427 right there. And you've seen a bounce off the turret, which is going to be a reoccurring theme when you play this thing. But I'll get into that later. Penetration values is very high as well. It's 248 with regular ammo. And now that's a really great number. Another ricochet off the turret. And it has 297 average pen with premium rounds, APCR. Which I don't really have to use very often. Because there's so much pen with the regular round. This is a really great credit generating machine. The reload on this gun is pretty slow. I'd say it's an average of around 13 seconds. With crew skills and with the gun rammer and vents and consumables, you can get her down to around 12. But maybe lower than 12 if you really want. But you're looking at 12 to 13 seconds for reload time, which is pretty slow. The armor is pretty huge on the turret, but the hull only has 102mm, so you have to really protect that. You have to be able to know how to hide your hull armor and just kind of leave your turret exposed and hope that they'll shoot at the turret. The turret armor is 279 in the front. That's huge armor, and if you can get in a good position, and if your enemies don't really know where to shoot you, you're really impenetrable. There's no weak spots on the gun mantlet. The only hope they have is hitting your commander's hatch, which is pretty hard to do if you're moving around. Side armor, 76 on the hull, which is really weak, and 127 on the turret, which is still pretty decent. I'm going to get right into the pros and cons of this tank. I've already discussed it a bit, but the first pro to this tank is it's a heavy hitter. High average damage and pen is the highest of any tier 8 heavy, according to the Wikipedia. That's a really great pro, and there's not much more needs to be said. You're just going to do damage with this thing if you take your time and aim. Pro number 2, it's got such a thick turret. Nearly invincible if you get a good hull down position, which is kind of if you get into a little maybe dip or if you're looking over the hill. And pro number 3 works well with 2, gun depression. This thing has such good gun depression where it can face down with the gun and look over top of hills. You can just peek over, protect your hull, expose only your turret, and do damage. So you can do damage to enemies, they can't damage you. It's really a great recipe for a lot of damage. Cons. Number 1, it's really slow. All around slow. Slow at everything. Slow movement, slow turret speed, slow reload. Everything about this tank is slow, so you kind of have to get used to that and maybe get a little bit patient. 2, the hull is made out of Swiss cheese, so you have to be aware of that. Like you're gonna die if you expose that hull too much. Anything can pen you. And on number 3 is it's nearsighted. It's only got 360 view range, so that's abysmal. that needs to be better. There's nothing you can do about that. But for equipment, make sure that you take like optics or binoculars to compensate. And I suggest a gun rammer and a vertical stabilizer. And if you just follow those recommendations, you'll get these 3,000 average damage games, no sweat. I got 3179 in this game. It turned into an ace tanker. So, you can't underestimate the T34. Just because it's a premium doesn't mean it's a terrible tank. This one plays just as good as its tier 8 heavy counterparts. And if you haven't had a chance to try the tank, I think it's worth the purchase, and you won't regret having the T34 in your garage. So, hope you enjoyed this review. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I really appreciate your views and your time spent watching, so thanks. Aficionado and Friends live stream.